Today we've got Sam, Megan, and Mikey B to guide you through some Power Pack conversation about AI. So, welcome, you guys, and thank you so much for being here. And we look forward to having you guys teach us something new.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Jen. Great intro. Lots of really exciting things happening here at Solaris. As you all know, AI is the big thing right now. And how do we prepare for 2026? So it's going to be kind of a continuation. If all of you saw my session, well, I feel like it was only a few weeks ago, but time is traveling very, very quickly around this holiday season. Before we know it, it's going to be New Year's, right? So with that said, I am actually going to share my screen because there's a couple things I want to cover before we dive way into some pitch deck stuff. Very exciting. Okay, so first and foremost, is the screen working? Mikey V, give me a thumbs up if you can see it, because I can see your vid. Amazing. 2 thumbs up today. So in true Sam fashion, before we get into any content, feel free to stir up the chat. We've got both of our AI, literally two folks with AI in their names, in the chat, Mikey B and Megan Tai, our CX and AI solution architects. So stir up the chat, folks. We're going to keep track of all your questions, as I'm sure you will all have some as we go through this content, and we will go from there. So first and foremost, Telarus AI practice area. For those of you who have not seen this yet, this is something that we shared a few weeks ago. All right, so the way that we view our artificial intelligence practice area here at Solaris is through use cases, aka outcomes, and then that is driven by then capabilities and features. All right, so while you traditionally have seen CX, cloud, security, etc., right? Well, now we are seeing a lot of those areas blend together, and when it comes to things like artificial intelligence, right, you have to look at it in terms of what are the outcomes that the client desires. And you guys have heard me time and time again on all of my HITT calls for this entire year on you have to drive the outcomes. Find the outcome, work your way backwards, because folks, I hate to tell you, but you cannot go to a big box store and buy a box of AI and plug it in somewhere, right? It's all fully pretty much a custom like situation based on what they're looking to achieve. And so what we've done here is identified 5 key areas and under the AI umbrella. First, there's agentic conversational AI, which is primarily my swim lane, right, previously, but now as we span across the use cases, right, we look at things like predictive analysis, even infrastructure optimization. Folks, security, like who knew robot dogs was a thing? And yes, you can get paid on robot dogs, right? And then we've even got some industry specific things. Yes, Jen, absolutely, right? You'll take three robot dogs. So what you need to realize here, folks, is that lots of different use cases out there, get to know them, and more importantly, just get really, really comfortable talking about this kind of stuff with customers. And you have us to help you drive those conversations. Bring in me, bring in Megan, bring in Mike B. We're more than happy to help expand these conversations around this. Most importantly, okay, here it is. Most important, if you take one thing away, most importantly, understand how to monetize artificial intelligence. And we're going to teach you how to do that today, because the last thing you want to do is go into a customer conversation and start talking about stuff that you can't sell, right? You want to be able to sell this stuff. And so what we'll review today will help you do exactly that. So on our last CX HITT call, something that I covered with you all was the AI readiness assessment. And you can get your copy here. Again, I just put the QR code on this slide, but also in my follow-up email after this session, I will send you a copy of this too for you to download. But don't forget, if you don't have it yet, get the AI readiness assessment in your hands. It provides you with a scoring framework to actually tell you where the customer is on their AI journey. And then most importantly, what you can do with them based on where they are in the journey. All right, cool. So a big question after this is, okay, Sam, well, AI readiness assessment is great, but how do I even like start the conversation? Like, what do I show people? Right? I've never built kind of an AI advisory, right? So folks, here's what we're doing. Telarus, this is it. Solaris is helping you all build and elevate your AI advisory. Okay. Building and elevate your AI advisory. So, first step was that readiness assessment to start teasing the conversations, right? But I'm so excited to chat about the AI pitch deck today. This is a deck built for you to fully customize and present to your end customers. It includes things like why AI now, right? Stating kind of like the state of the industry. It then goes into next steps, why work with you, what are the expectations, and then it actually comes with a huge library of different use cases that you can plug in, right? And based on like what your customers' needs are, you can plug those in, start talking about them, and that will help you pivot the conversation into a deeper, right? A much deeper discussion later on with CX and AI experts as you have here today. All right, so y'all ready to see the pitch deck or what? Let's go ahead and dive in. Okay, so again, this is something that's fully brandable that you can take, and here we go. So slide number 1, folks, here's what I am going to do. Yes, I will send the deck. All right, you just joined. If you just joined, I will send the deck afterwards. Don't worry. All right. Here's how we're going to go through these slides. I'm actually going to present it as if I were talking to a customer, and I'm going to follow each slide with, hey, here's what it does for you as a tech advisor. Okay. It's a really short deck. It's simple and sweet, and it just guides you into these conversations really easily. So that way it can lead to a next step, keep the conversation going. That is the goal. You're not closing on AI. Okay. You're not closing with any particular solutions. Rather, you're educating. Okay. So you're teaching, and then you're helping the customer move into a potential artificial intelligence project, right? So here we go, folks. Slide number 1 is why AI now, right? So customer, let's start kind of with this bigger picture. All right, so AI adoption is accelerating across all industries, including yours. But the acceleration comes with a really, really stark challenge. AI initiatives are not always delivering measurable ROI. And it's not because you don't have the vision. Clearly you do. But it's because these AI programs are often outpacing strategy, right? There's no governance. And we often oversee things like readiness. And so our goal today is to help you avoid any wasted investment around this. So instead of starting with just technology, we start with your business outcomes, okay? And we're going to align what AI can do with what creates meaningful impact for your organization. Think of AI not as a project, but sort of this operating model shift, okay? Because when you anchor AI with strategy, it becomes a great competitive advantage instead of just like, say, a science experiment. All right, time out. For you, what this does is it reinforces you bringing in supplier expertise, the vetting, the alignment, and not just like generic AI advice. Okay. So you want to build this credibility super early, and that's going to help tee you up for the future supplier conversations that you're going to have. Boom. That's slide 1. Slide number 2. All right. So customer. All right. Here's the reality is that most organizations kind of resonate with this promise. There's this promise out there that AI is going to improve productivity. It's going to lead to a lot of better decisions. It's going to contribute to cost efficiency. But the reality is that these outcomes do not appear automatically. Okay. There are challenges out there, things like data quality, fragmented systems, very unclear ownership, right? And even things like skill gaps, right? Holding back really meaningful progress in the organization. And so the message for you, customer, is really, really simple. Success is really going to hinge on strategic planning. All right. It's not the presence of just like an AI tool, right? It's when we bridge this gap between aspiration and execution. That's when something like AI becomes really predictable, measurable, scalable, right? Those 3 things: predictable, measurable, scalable. So, timeout. For you all, use this slide to really set the expectation that you are going to guide the customer toward the outcomes, not the tools. Okay. We are, again, emphasizing the outcomes. Now, next slide, AI readiness assessment. So, customer, before we even invest in any AI initiatives, we have to assess your organization across 5 key pillars. All right. Now, these pillars are going to help all of us really understand where you are strong and where there might be some gaps that could undermine success that we are seeking through this process. All right. So, strategic alignment, is AI tied directly to your business strategy? Data and infrastructure, can your data actually support predictive or automated capabilities? People and skills, do your teams, do you have the expertise to adopt and maintain AI workflows, right? Processes and governance, are there very clear workflows, right? Are there statements of operating procedure, right? Is there ownership? Are there guardrails around this stuff in place already that maybe we don't know about or that we should know about, right? Business impact, do you have a defined way to measure the value that AI actually produces? Really, really important here. And so what this assessment is going to do, customer, it is going to lead to a very clearly defined roadmap that's going to be prioritized. It's going to be realistic, not just a promise. And most importantly, it's going to be outcome driven. All right, time out. So for you all, a useful question here is something like, where do you feel strongest today? Where do you see the largest constraints in the business? And then don't say anything. Like, shut your mouth, bite your tongue, and let them talk. As salespeople, we love to talk. All right, shut your mouth and listen. And I guarantee at this point, they're like so enthralled by everything that you brought to the table that they're just going to totally open up and talk about all of the different components that they want to address, or maybe some pain that they're experiencing. Okay. Now, this is where you absolutely should document any like high level gaps that you're hearing. Folks, if you don't have a note taking tool yet, something that literally is on your phone to note take, this is the moment, or something on your desktop that's listening in to the meeting. So that way it could take these notes for you. You don't have to worry about writing things down in the moment. All right. So next slide. Great. So customer, look, at the end of the day, we are always going to anchor AI to your business strategy, to the outcomes that you desire. So that means we have to dive into two key things. One, your top priorities, and then two, right, the headwinds, the pain points that are slowing you down. And the goal is really, really simple, okay? We need to identify the areas essentially where AI can create the most meaningful business impact right now in this moment. By the way, here are some example priorities: customer experience, revenue, things like cost optimization, compliance, innovation, right? That all gives us direction. Pain points like, say, manual tasks, really slow decisions, data silos, okay? A lot of those pieces can give us entry points. So from there, what we're going to do is we're going to pair the right category of AI solution, say automation, predictive analytics, quality control, et cetera, right? And that's where we can start to figure out where AI can assist. So, time out. A really helpful question here to consider, folks, is if AI could solve one problem, right, for your customers or your employees, which one would have the most immediate impact? Ask them straight up. And a lot of them are going to probably think for a long time because they've probably never been asked this question, which is going to differentiate you as an expert. They're probably going to say, I don't know, right? And that's a great opportunity for all of you to say, that's fantastic. Let's dive in, okay? So your goal is to capture the priority areas with really exact phrasing from executives. Folks, this is where a note-taking tool becomes really, really helpful, because when executives start talking and your note taker starts note taking, right, you're going to be able to say, hey, executive, you told me on this day, on this time, that XYZ. What has changed since then? Why isn't this still a priority for you? You told me how painful this was, right? Let's continue to keep that as a priority so we can address that, because I know it's a pain point for you because you told me. All right, cool. So this becomes essentially ammunition for you, right? Ammunition for you to start overcoming any objections you get later on, any delays, right? And also just helps you position potential solutions as, well, their advisor. All right, so we're going to dive a little more into it, okay? The next slide, prioritizing use cases. All right. First thing I always get when I talk to customers about AI stuff, they just start throwing out all of this cool stuff that they've seen. And they're like, oh, yeah, we could totally use that. Right. And they throw out like 20 different things. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. All right. You have to start with what exactly you want to address and work your way backwards. So here we go. Customer. When we map AI initiatives with you and the team, we actually evaluate in two different dimensions. It's value and it's feasibility. All right. So your highest impact early wins sit at the top right of the quadrant. So these are projects with like really, really clear business value. And it can be implemented in your existing data and technology as it is like pretty much right now. Right. And these wins are going to build a really, really quick momentum. They're going to create internal buy-in, and they're actually going to, ding, 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 prove a measurable ROI very, very quickly. All right. Now, when we look at the bottom right, operational experiments, they're small, right? They're low cost tests that kind of build confidence. Say maybe you gave a few people some licenses for ChatGPT, right? Or whatever it is to test out, right? And they're there, right? But they're not going to be super high value in that moment because you're kind of just letting them play. Long-term plays are, kind of big picture initiatives that require a lot more foundational work. And then there's like ideas, right? That we kind of like avoid defer. So in the bottom left, right? They're not really practical right now. And so what we need to do is prioritize the ones in the upper right-hand corner. So customer, a key question for you at this point is like, look, which potential initiatives can we confidently produce measurable results in 90 days? And so what this does is this balance really ensures that we're moving fast, but most importantly, moving fast where it matters. Okay. Because folks, the reality here is we're preparing them for a much larger transformation in a responsible manner. Okay. So time out here, right? So you want to steer clients to 1 to 2 initial use cases. Like, do not let them chase the shiny thing, the experimental stuff. All of it becomes noise. I'm sure a lot of you have done this. I've done it as well. But you start looking at some cool tools, you start trying it out, and then you like before you know it, it's been like an hour. And you're like, oh my gosh, I got so lost in just like trying out this really cool tool. Now I have this slew of stuff I still have to do the rest of my day. And it's kind of like on TikTok. If anyone's been on TikTok, you don't realize you've already been there for like an hour or 2 or 3 or whatever it is, right? You get sucked in. It's the same concept with end customers. All right. They get sucked into a lot of the bells and whistles. And like, by the way, these folks are getting hit up by like hundreds of suppliers on the market, right? Daily. All right. So they are seeing shiny objects everywhere. Your goal is to tell them, hey, I'm here to help you kind of sift through the noise. All right. And figure out what is actually viable. So, next slide. We're almost to the end, folks. Your AI roadmap. So once we identify the right use case, okay, we're going to build this roadmap. And it moves in 3 very deliberate phases. All right. So the first phase is a pilot, right? We focus on a use case. All right. We're going to define the KPIs and we're going to do it in a very controlled environment. And the goal here is not perfection. Okay. It's to validate. Okay. This is where validation happens and it's super crucial. If it works, has potential, great, right? Then we move on to phase 2, which is scaling. And that takes anywhere from like the 6 to 12 month era. So once we've proven that the pilot is super successful, we want to expand that into adjacent workflows, right? Integrations, cross-functional processes, right? Sometimes you'll talk to an organization that has one department already using AI for stuff, right? And then another department who's like not even sure what AI is, right? And that's a huge problem. So that's a great opportunity for you to say, hey, how are we scaling AI across the business? How are you doing that? Tell me how you're doing that today, right? And then phase number 3 is operationalizing. So this is where AI is just going to become part of the operating model, right? We look at things like governance, reporting. We look really at sort of enterprise-wide adoption. right? And so what this phased approach is going to do for you, customer, is it's going to do things like reduce risk. It's going to accelerate the value, and it's going to turn AI from just like this little project into a fully blown ecosystem that's going to work for you. Now, I did put this in yellow, okay, the yellow text here is make sure that you're modifying this with your customer based on project expectations. If you are still in that education phase, okay, or maybe there's something active already, you of course want to modify this as you see fit, and we can help you with that. All right. So 2 more slides left. By the way, okay, customer, our partnership goes beyond just the entire AI journey. Okay. We are going to, after this, we're going to dig into your business model. We're going to talk about internal capabilities, your expectations, and most importantly, we're going to talk about success criteria. All right. Then we move into the source and select. So instead of, you having to do any of the work and sift through thousands and thousands of different AI solutions, you're going to get curated, pre-vetted options. All right. Now we evaluate them based on your technical, financial, and operational requirements. All right. 3 things: technical, financial, operational. And then we head into the implementation phase where implementation phase. Okay. We're going to focus on alignment. So very clear ownership, measurable KPIs, collaborative project management. Okay. Now this is going to ensure that the deployments actually achieve the outcomes we have already discussed and scoped together. That's important. Do not miss this. Okay. Ensures deployments actually achieve the outcomes we scoped together. If it does not meet what we discussed, we need to revisit this whole thing. All right. Hopefully it doesn't get to the implementation phase and you're having that conversation. Eek. All right. The last thing, also really important, is the evolution. So newsflash, AI is not static. Okay. We help with things like governance, training, optimization. And by the way, if you're like, I don't do any of this, Sam, trust me, you do. Okay. And if you don't now, you will. So, but this model, customer, what this model essentially does is it ensures that you're getting the long-term value and not these one-time projects. Okay. So timeout, right? You want to mention that these ecosystem suppliers that you already have access to, right, are going to actually fit their use case once the needs are known. Okay. Not before, right? You're not coming into the conversation saying, hey, check this out. This is really cool looking. And do you want to use it? No. Okay. Understand the use case and then start figuring out, working your way backwards, how you can contribute those different capabilities, features, etc., to cater to those specific use cases. All right. And I said in this to the customer, I said, hey, this model ensures that you get long-term value. Keyword, long-term. All right. You are not just here to put a band-aid on it and walk away, because that's not how AI works. It's changing so quickly that you have to be there. You have to be there even through implementation to make sure that it is working and still continually addressing their need as the business evolves, but even more importantly, as AI evolves. All right. So the last slide, next steps. Okay. At this point, your customer is like so blown away. Who knows? They might be crying, like, sitting in a corner in a dark room, rocking with their knees back and forth, hugging their legs together, right? Hopefully not. All right. But these are the next steps that you want to set with them at a minimum. Okay. So customer, here's how we start delivering measurable results really, really quickly. All right. Number 1, we got to have a stakeholder workshop. All right. We have to build this shared vision. We have to talk about priorities, success metrics, and then define who internally is going to be championing this project. It could be one person. It could be multiple people. All right. I tell you, I've been in a room where there are multiple stakeholders in different departments, all telling me what they want AI to do. All right. And where they envision AI happening. And you all have to make sure that it comes out all nice and hot at the same time, like Thanksgiving dinner. Okay. We just had this, folks. You all know, right? Or many of you might know, if you celebrate Thanksgiving, that it all wants to come out hot at the same time to keep everybody happy because, Sam wants warm turkey, not the cold turkey because she's not really into the gravy, right? But maybe someone else is into like, you get where I'm coming from with this, right? So at the end of the day, customer, let's go ahead and make sure we schedule this workshop and then start building your competitive advantage today, right? We're gonna do things like use case deep dive. We're gonna do supplier alignment. I mean, it's all here. So timeout, tech advisors, you have to push to calendar the workshop during this meeting. Okay. You need to make sure that you come with dates and times that you are available before this meeting so that you can pitch that right now because speed establishes momentum. This is crucial. Okay. Do not send an email saying, let me know when you're available for the next for the next workshop, right? To get this workshop on the books. Come with availability expectations and say, great, let's look at calendars right now. Or you know what? Who do I need to talk to make sure that we get this on the calendar? Because trust me, right? If you're not using AI today, your competitors are, and that's how they're beating you. Okay. All right. So folks, that's it. That is the deck. Okay. So we've covered what, maybe 10-ish or so slides, if that. Get really comfortable with these. Now, you're probably thinking, Sam, this is like not enough for me. What do I do if, someone wants an overview of how AI is applicable in healthcare? Do you really think that I would let you like just willy-nilly like run with this deck without resources? No, absolutely not. So I've included an appendix just for you. It includes things like AI business outcomes across industries. If you want to pepper in some of these, if you want to send some of these as leave behinds, okay? It talks about outcomes across industries, maybe just healthcare, right? Maybe you're talking to someone in maybe finance, right? Or maybe you have a customer who like has no idea even what AI really is, and they need some kind of education before we can even talk about a next step. Here's a slide just on general education and resources. And folks, if you personally have not taken some of these courses outside of course, Telarus University, highly recommend you take some of these because these courses are what your customers are exploring, right? Your customers don't have access to Telarus University, right? And so you want to also bring value and say, hey, here's how some of you and your colleagues can get familiar with artificial intelligence. And then we get into things like, okay, what's conversational AI, maybe in healthcare, in finance, what's agentic? What in the world does that mean, right? Analytics, business intelligence, AI ops, etc. Right? Like we can go on and on and on. And so the beauty behind this deck is it's really fluid, but most importantly, talks about AI as it pertains to not just CX, but also cloud, security, as well as advanced networking. And then it helps you actually monetize AI because this deck is not going to steer you outside of what you cannot sell. Okay. Again, this deck will not steer you outside of what you cannot sell. Everything in here is absolutely sellable. Okay. You have access to cutting edge AI suppliers in the Telarus portfolio that can fit all of these different use cases and needs. All right. So yes, I haven't even been looking at the chat, folks, because I've been so enthralled in just the deck and wanting to make sure that you understand these talking points. Oh, and also I included speaker notes. Okay. So if you ever get lost, you can absolutely like read from the slides. I don't recommend it, folks. Practice in the mirror, right? But I've included all the talking points for you in the actual deck. So that way it goes really smoothly and you'll never know or you'll never be without notes or like not know what to say. All right. So that said, yes. Oh, wait, we're still talking about robot dogs. This is amazing. Everyone's asking, great, it's a great presentation. Like, how do we get it? You're actually going to get email communication from me personally after this presentation on a summary, as well as where you can download this deck and also access to the readiness assessment that I mentioned earlier. So that said, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we're going to start looking at some of the questions. I know Megan Ty is already smiling because she's probably like stirred up the chat. We like to call it kind of stirring the tea in the chat. I saw some funny funny comments in here. But yeah, let's bring on the experts again. Let's see. We got Megan, Jen. Any questions here? Anything we want to address that I may have missed? Or Megan?
I think we addressed a lot. Mikey had to hop off for another call. Um,
Okay.
I think I'm scrolling through it, but I think we addressed most of it.
I think we need to
I
run a
love it.
spiff on who's going to sell a robot dog first.
Who knew, right? And they're so cute. They're like, they walk so fast, like little terriers.
We need to make a t-shirt that has Sam's face that says "Shut your mouth."
Yeah, there was a lot of comments about the shut your mouth as like it was suggested as a Telarus Partner Summit theme. It would be our quietest summit ever.
I love
I
it. Well, I'm glad that you guys are listening.
I think one thing that would be great, Sam, is like first of all, everyone is thrilled to see the resources that you're going to put out. So maybe once again, explain how people are going to get their hands on these resources. And then another thing that would be wonderful is if you could help um, when like tell an actual story of one of the times when you walked into a room and it literally was like, I'd like some AI with people with different ideas about what that meant and how you got them focused on that top right quadrant, right? Like, what's the quick hit, low hanging fruit that's going to show value that gets people to think about a longer term roadmap for AI implementation?
Yeah, yeah, good one, Jen. And so I'll touch base real quick on for those of you who missed how to actually get your hands on these resources, these two things, the AI readiness assessment, as well as the deck that I shared today. Okay, lots of different places you can get it, but starting with an email follow-up from me personally. So you'll get the download links from there. They will be housed in Telarus University as well. And don't forget, Chandler posted earlier, but we've released a lot of really, really exciting courses, new courses for you. And as you could imagine, more new courses coming in the new year too. AI Essentials are there, and conversational AI is there. Go like read up on that. I can share a story, but Megan, I'm sure you've been in so
Yeah.
many more situations than I have on where
Yeah.
you
I
walk
was
in and
having
they're
like
like,
these
right, you're like,
flashbacks as Jen was bringing that up. I'm like, yes, yes. I get it sometimes
yeah,
where it's like, hey, we need an AI vendor for our customer. What can you name? I'm thinking, I'm sorry, what? What?
But I think that's everyone's worst nightmare is like, what do you literally do when that happens?
Yeah, yeah. Or it's, we need an AI vendor for this vertical. Like that could be anything. We don't specify it based on verticals. We want to know the outcomes. To Sam's point, what are we trying to achieve here? And so we just have to do a lot more digging. And so those are the cases where we love to get on a call with either our TAs first to have an internal sync up to understand what's going on, or more than anything, put us in front of the customer and let's just dig a little bit deeper, just have that conversation. Sam, earlier on in your presentation, I was thinking, you're right, it's a conversation. It's not a skew. You have to really talk this through and open it up with one or two questions, right? What are you trying to accomplish? What do you got done today? What are you trying to do? And then just let the customer talk and then just take lots of notes or have your AI take notes for you. But it's really is that. So yeah, it's a little frustrating when I do hear, hey, I've got a customer in this vertical space, they need AI. What for? Right? It just opens a whole can of worms. So we don't know, and we can't help you, but we can help you guide that conversation. We can't help give recommendations out of the gate. We can help guide the conversation, try to figure out what they're trying to do. So that's all.
yeah. Yeah, I love that, Megan. No, thank you. And like y'all saw me before, and some of you actually took a screenshot of it and sent it to me afterwards, which I super appreciated. But it was well, here's my face when people ask me who are like your top AI solutions right now, and it's literally like, what? But anyways, there are a couple questions in the chat I wanted to address real quick. Just looking through here, one was recommended scripting, and then two, will we get the deck as a PDF or PowerPoint? So you will have access to it as a PowerPoint. It is fully brandable. And also there are speaker notes in the deck that you can review and use as talking points as you go through. And also all of the slides in the appendix have talking points in there as well. So that way you could speak to them confidently.
I think Andrew had a question here. So, AI as a service, that's a big loaded question too. Are there AI as a service solutions that are proven and ready to deliver um, to the top right quadrant? I don't know if the quadrant is your quadrant or we're talking about a
I think
uh,
that's the low hanging fruit, high impact
yeah,
quadrant.
gotcha. Okay. So I mean, in my mind, I think they're all considered a service. AI to me is like a tool or a capability. And some of it is subscription based, some of it is just a one time and it continues to grow. So I don't know if there's answers there other than conversational AI perhaps as a service that's proven. That's for the most part pre-built, and that's why I'm excited to hear what Scipio has to say on this call. But it's pre-built for the most part, right? To Harry's point as well, when he had a question earlier, some of this stuff does come pre-built, but you always have to massage it or let the agentic AI do its thing and continue to learn. It's you can do something as phase one or day one out of the gate that can work, and it's going to continue to improve. It's not going to be let's plug it in, it's ready to go, and we don't ever have to touch it again. That's not the reality.
Yep, all good points. Yeah, so folks, at the end of the day, this might seem like a daunting conversation, but we're here to help you simplify it and more importantly, move it forward. Okay, this is a great time to participate in the AI conversation because guess what? Everyone's kind of on the same level with it, right? And so anyone is open to having a conversation about it and just how it can impact the organization. So now is the time to start teasing this out. And look, if you need some help, if you want to have these conversations live, maybe with some of us on the call, more than happy to support that and help you accelerate the deals even quicker.
That stat that everyone's throwing around about 95% of AI implementations not yielding desired outcomes is actually a great way to get folks focused on outcomes. If you so that you can say, no, let's real that given that most people aren't seeing results that they were hoping for, let's make sure that we're laser focused on the outcomes that you're working toward and make sure that you keep focusing that back toward outcomes.